Hey!
Semra!
Long time no see. How are you?
know.
Wait, let me see if I can.
I know. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, how's it going over there in Spain with the lockdown life?
So a little bit better now. The first few months were really, really tough going, as you can probably imagine. It was pretty strict over here. So we were fighting, me and my husband, we were fighting to take turns as to who was going to throw out the trash, who was going to go to the supermarket. Because it's like, no, it's my turn to go outside today. No, it's my turn. So
A little bit
it
of
was,
a little bit of a schedule, right? You had to figure this.
exactly. I mean, we were taking really serious precautions because the government was like, okay, you can only go outside if you're going to go to the supermarket, if you're going to go buy tobacco, because of course, if you're a smoker, that's super important, I guess. If you're going to walk the dog, if you're going to go to the pharmacy, you're going to go to the hospital. So for us, it was just, okay, every week you go and then alternate, and that was it. But it was okay. I mean, it was actually kind of a nice forced break because you never really, football is 24/7, 365 days a year. You never really get downtime. You never get some time to switch off. So it was like forced time off in a way, which was nice because I had free time to start doing other things that I would usually like to do, but never really have either the energy or the time to do it. So reading books, learning French, doing a ton of cooking, which is not my favorite thing to do, admittedly, but how did it keep busy somehow? Watching movies, series, sleeping was very important. All that kind of stuff, really. So how about for you? How is everything back home?
Well, doing much better, much better. About maybe 3, 4 weeks ago, we had really good news where the cases were going down, hospitalizations, deaths going down. So on Sunday, I went to Dana Point with some friends. Social distance, obviously. It was hot. It was hot. 90 degrees at the beach. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I heard it was like a record high in Los Angeles. Like
Yeah.
the hottest temperature ever recorded or something like that.
Oh yeah, wildfires going up like crazy, triple digits. It was just, it was unbelievable. And I mean, we're used to the heat over in Palm Springs, with 115, 110 during those dog days of summer, but not in the basin, not in the coastline. I mean, it was Culver City. Culver City was 111. And it felt like an oven when you turn it on convection bake and you're literally getting cooked. I mean, that's literally what it was like, So, I mean, my friends and I, we went to the beach for the day, and I made a planter's punch, a southern cocktail. So, we were under a canopy, went into the water, very salty, by the way, very salty, and very cold.
Well, you almost have to throw yourself into the ocean whenever it's that hot. So.
Exactly. So just really quickly, you're on La Liga TV as an anchor, and you didn't start there, obviously. You were in Turkey, right? Right, with TRT World?
Yes, and before that, you remember where I was?
Of course. They know 6 years ago, I met Semra in Madrid, and she was Real Madrid TV.
Hey,
yeah, she's Real Madrid TV alumni.
Exactly.
What was that like in Real Madrid TV? What was the experience like? When you leave the United States, you go to Spain, and you work there. What was that experience?
Well, I've been living in Spain already for a few years at that point because I left. The first year that I lived in Spain was my junior year abroad, so I was still in college. And I always knew that I wanted to live in Spain because I traveled here into Europe on a regular basis with my family because we have extended family that live over here. So every summer we would come out this way. And I always wanted to live in Spain, and Barcelona felt like the place most similar to LA. So I came here, did my junior year abroad, went back home. Finished. I'm a beach girl, man. I'm a beach girl. I need to be by the ocean or the sea.
SoCal all the way.
Exactly.
No doubt. I know all about that.
Through, man. Through. So anyway, long story short, I eventually, some years later, I moved to Madrid and I got my master's degree in sports journalism and communication. And so that segued into me eventually joining Real Madrid TV. And it was a great launching point for me. I was very green. I was just starting out my career, fresh out of my master's program. I had plenty of opportunities. I was one of the only bilingual people in the office. So obviously a lot of opportunities came flowing my way because they needed me to do all sorts of things. So I pretty rapidly grew within the channel. So I was doing a lot of stuff in Spanish, doing a lot of stuff in English, reporting, then moved on, progressed to presenting as well, and then to traveling with the team on a preseason tour and all that sort of stuff. But it was a great place to really dig in and to apply all the things that I learned during a master's, and then to just really develop as a journalist. And so I did, you know, I was writing all of my own scripts, I was editing all of my own videos, I was putting together all of my own shows, I was doing everything short of about filming myself, you know. So it was a great learning experience for me, and it was really fun to be so close to the players, to see the inner workings of the club, and to see people, you know, you pinch yourself and you're thinking, well, geez, when I started out some years ago living over here in Spain, I was watching all of these guys from, you know, the nosebleed section basically of the stadium at the very top, and I was paying 150 euros to go to games. Now all of a sudden I'm actually in the hallway that goes to the dressing room, that goes out to the tunnel, that goes out to the, you know, seeing these guys on a week in, week out basis and having conversations with them and doing interviews with them. And so it was such a rewarding, fun time, and I loved it. You know, I never took it for granted. I always constantly was like, am I in a dream? Is this real? You know, and how did a SoCal, Los Angeles, you know, LA girl end up here? So
yeah. We were rooting for you 1,000%. You were at our event, Club World Cup final against San Lorenzo 2014, and thank you so much for coming to that event. It was a big day.
It was my pleasure. You know,
we
thank
saw
you for
that.
inviting me. And
of course.
all these years, you know. So
yeah, and then 2 years later, you were at TIT World. You invited me to be on that debate with a fan from Barcelona. Peña, I think Hong Kong, is that correct?
It was somewhere out there in Asia, yeah.
Way out there.
But it was pretty cool because it was like we covered the full spectrum of the planet. Because it was like you were way out in the West Coast, California. I was in Turkey, and then we had somebody represented in Asia. So it was like taking the world at once. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope I did well. And you know, you looked fantastic in the studio. I was like, oh man, this is big time. This is a pro level. I got to step my game up over here. I can't be slurring words or anything. You know, now you're at. Oh no, it's fantastic. And now La Liga TV. So now you're an anchor and you're covering the league. This isn't Real Madrid where it's one club. So what were the adjustments in your preparation when you have to go into these weekends? For example, that starts this weekend, La Liga's all over again.
Well, I basically had to learn everything about all 20 teams. So I had to really get involved in expanding my knowledge and doing a lot of research. But the thing is, like, for me, it's not work because I enjoy it so much. I'm genuinely curious and I want to know. And then the more I know, I want to know more. And then it's like this knock-on effect of like, you start to fall in love with these teams. You start to find so many interesting storylines and you want to see how it all plays out, and you become hooked. You become completely hooked. And so now, like, every single day, not a day goes by where I don't check in on what's happening across the Liga, just for my own sake, my own interest. It has nothing to do with the fact that I work for La Liga TV. I genuinely love it, and I genuinely have so much fun learning and always trying to learn more and trying to make myself better and trying to provide the best coverage I can for everybody who watches, you know. So, you know, it's a lot of work. It really is, but it's great. It's like it's a dream job, you know. I love it.
Now you do Tea Time Talks, correct? I saw a few of those episodes.
That was one of the things I was doing during the lockdown. Yeah.
You know, I was an avid watcher among the other Madridistas that are watching this, obviously. So we were
Right.
tuning, you know, where the next chat and all that. So that was, I mean, that was a way to pass the time, correct?
It was,
Yeah.
and it was also a way, like, I'm what they call in Spain a culo inquieto, which is like,
Ah.
like a literal
Okay.
translation is like a unsettled butt, basically.
Yeah.
But basically, it just means that I'm hyperactive. Like, I need to be doing stuff all the time, and I need to keep myself busy. And so I thought it'd be a really nice way to stay in touch with everybody too, and to socialize and to keep talking about football, because you could clearly say I'm obsessed with it, either for good or for
Oh,
bad.
no. Why would I think that?
But so I thought it'd be a nice way to just try and keep a conversation going. Different types of conversations, obviously, depending on whoever the guest was, but also a way to pass the time. And I really enjoyed it. It was good fun, and it kept me kind of fresh and kept me in the mode of not going rusty, let's say, from a presenting point of view. But I enjoyed it. It actually gave me a lot of sanity. It kept me sane.
If not, you'd be bouncing off the walls,
Exactly.
you know, measuring. You know, I mean, I could totally see, like, you and me, that's a reality show. Because me, I could sit down, I'm watching 3 games in a row, and you were...
Totally. I am totally like here, there, and everywhere.
Roadrunner all over the place.
So, yeah, it was like a way to kind of let some of that energy out, you know, and to just connect with people and see how they were doing and check in on them and to socialize, as I said before. And yeah, so it was nice. It was a really good experience. And if I have ever time again, I'll definitely bring it back, because it was a really good.
Oh yeah, we want a second season.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
I'm totally down. Charlas con Cristian, this is ongoing. This is going to Real Madrid. So
Yeah.
Real Madrid, they're going to get going September 20th. They're going to play against
Right.
Real Sociedad, right? They're not going to play this upcoming weekend because they were in
Way to start.
Champions League last month. I did an episode, Palco de Honor, last night, and it's released on the channel, where we go into the calendar. You've seen the calendar. You've seen Madrid coming in with their team at the moment. I mean, there's still time to. So how do you see Madrid? Do you see them repeating as champions, as favorites, or is there other teams that you think that will give a fight for the title?
Well, I'm not saying this just to placate you. I do genuinely believe it. I think Real Madrid are very much the big favorites to hold on to that title. I really believe that. They have a very solid team. They'll build off of what they were doing before. But for me, part of it is the personality and the belief. And they were so convincing, even if, you know, after the break they weren't playing the most flashy, the most entertaining, the most beautiful football, whatever. There was this, how can I put it? It was like this, no matter what they were faced with, they were going to get through it. It was like, this is
they overcame adversity.
Exactly. Like, this is our season. This title is not going anywhere but here. We're snapping up another piece of silverware, and La Liga is ours. And they made you believe it. And so they fought incredibly hard to make sure that they got it, and they did. And so in terms of what the squad actually looks like, there was 2 main problems. One was James Rodriguez, and the other one is Gareth Bale. James, they've already dealt with. He's off to Everton, back with Ancelotti, who, wherever he's gone since he left Real Madrid, he's always tried to tempt James to come away and to play for him. They finally made it happen, so everyone's happy there. Gareth Bale, totally different story. Very interesting to see what happens there. For me, that's sort of like the one thorn in the side that's keeping Real Madrid from being a perfectly harmonious and unified group at this point in time. Because Zidane clearly doesn't want Bale, and Bale clearly doesn't want to be there. But it doesn't seem to affect them really at all, because they still managed to win La Liga, and in the Champions League, well, that's a whole different issue. But they've got Martin Odegaard coming back, which kind of surprised me, to be honest with you. I thought they would let him stay one more season with Real Sociedad, but they brought him back a year early. And I suppose it's almost like an early way of trying to phase out Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, as sad as that makes me, because they're phenomenal players. They've been great stalwarts for the club. They've done wonderful things in winning all those pieces of silverware that since they've been with the club over the last 5-6 seasons.
Right.
But obviously, at some point, they will have to move on. And it was sort of like what happened with Marcelo. You know, he's been there for 12 seasons, something like that. This was the first one where we saw Mendy come in and actually take the starting position off of him. And it's like you know, starting to sort of phase out Marcelo and let Mendy become the main left back starter, let's say. So I imagine something like that will happen with Martin Odegaard. But again, there's all sorts of overbooking there in the midfield. There are plenty of players in the midfield.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not short for choice, you know. And I think that's part of what's going to help. Depth of squad. They have one of the deepest squads, one of the most talented squads in the entire division, and that's going to help them because it's a very congested schedule because of the coronavirus situation. You've got Champions League, you've got national team duty, you've got La Liga, you've got games coming thick and fast over the next 9 months, assuming that we can carry out business as usual. So he will need that. And he did a really great job of rotating the squad in those last 11 match days. That led to them overtaking Barcelona. And I imagine he'll continue with that. And a lot of teams don't necessarily have that. Barcelona, for example, doesn't really have much depth in squad, and they have all sorts of other issues, which we don't necessarily need to touch on. But I don't see them causing as much trouble as other years to Real Madrid. Where I do see a club causing trouble, potentially, Sevilla. Sevilla have a really solid team. And the momentum of just coming off the back of winning an historic record 6th Europa League trophy. They brought Ivan Rakitic home, who is unbelievably delighted to be back. So I think we might be seeing Julian Lopetegui get the best out of him once again, which doesn't bode well for opponents. Yeah. Replacing Ever Banega, who is now left. Yeah. And I mean, they're solid from back to front. Really, I don't see many gaping holes. The only one question mark is Sergio Reguilón, who is, of course, a Real Madrid player, but most likely either going to be sold to Manchester United or he'll go back on loan to Sevilla. So we'll see what happens there. But for me, Sevilla, we've got to keep an eye on them this season, for sure.
Yes.
So,
Villarreal,
definitely. Plenty of firepower. But where they're a little bit weak is in defense. They haven't really bolstered the defense. They conceded, I think, like 49 goals last campaign. They had the 24th record in defense, you know. So they were the 3rd highest scoring team in the division, but then they were like the 10th with the worst defensive record, let's say. So if they can balance that out, which Unai Emery, you know, he's back in La Liga, he's with Villarreal, he's a little bit more of a conservative defensive coach, which is interesting because he has so many attacking options. If they can find that balance, definitely watch out for Villarreal, because they've done a lovely bit of business as well, too, bringing in Dani Parejo, nicking the captain off of Valencia, their big regional rivals, for free, and bringing in his midfield partner in Coquelin. Then obviously Take Kubo, another Real Madrid star, who eventually is going to go, starlet, I should say, because he's a teenager, who will definitely go to Real Madrid at some stage and shine for them, but he's not quite there yet. Yeah, Villarreal, they look phenomenal. Gerard Moreno, Paco Alcacer, Samu Chukwueze, Juan Gomez. I mean, geez, the list is never ending. No. But again, if they're porous in defense, that's where they're going to have issues. Yeah. So, but as of today, I would say Real Madrid champions again.
Yeah. You know, the complication for the calendar with La Liga is that we do have Champions League priority in numerous weeks. And coronavirus pandemic, you mentioned, it's compacting the schedule more because it's supposed to start this month. It's going to start next month. So looking at this calendar, the first Clásico is in between the first and second match day of Champions League, right off the bat. And then in December, the 5th and 6th match days, you have Sevilla and Atletico, who are tough opponents. And what's the team going to look like? How are they going to be physically?
Right.
And then there's no break, no Christmas break like in years past, because you have to get this season done with.
Tell me
Then we
about
have,
it.
right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you look into the schedule and you're like,
I'll be working for Christmas
whoa.
and New Year's, just to let all of you know. In case
Whoa.
we're interested.
Yeah, because then, you know, then they have the Getafe game that was supposed to happen this weekend. You have to put it somewhere in the schedule later.
Right.
Then you have the Spanish Super Cup in January,
And
which takes
don't
a week
forget,
off.
too, there's going to be plenty of La Liga matches midweek.
Right,
It's
but
not
then
just going
there's
to be during the weekend. So
right, but then there's Copa del Rey.
yeah.
So now you're running. Now you're running out of right. Now you're running out of weeks to pack these games. And what if Madrid go the distance in Copa? What if they do? And then Champions League during the later stages, because again, the second Clásico of the season in La Liga is April 11th, in between the possible quarterfinals of Champions League. And then, like you mentioned, Sevilla, we play them in May. I think the 36th match day, if I'm not mistaken. What if Madrid and Sevilla are within 3 points of each other, and that
very well
becomes
could be
a title race? And then Villarreal is the final game of the season, and we need to win that game again. I mean, I looked at the schedule for the last 11 games that we had in the summer to finish last season. We had rivals that were not big names, tough teams, obviously, but not. We didn't play Atletico. We didn't play Barcelona. We didn't play.
Valencia.
Like,
You have Valencia.
we have Valencia, but Valencia's on the decline.
Yeah, but the first half, it was all about Valencia, and it was like, ooh, Real Madrid. And then obviously it was a completely different game in the second 45 minutes. But that first half,
we took care of business.
We took care of business, but that was, but that goes back to what I was saying about Real Madrid digging deep when they needed to against the odds to fight back. And I mean, okay, yes, they did have a little bit of help. I'll leave it at that. But still. They deserved it in the end, okay?
I will not even touch that.
No, but listen. All jokes aside, Madrid deserved to win the title this season, okay? For the whole 38 match days, the whole season in its entirety, they deserve to win it, okay? So we don't need to touch the other stuff because it's not even worth mentioning. But yeah, they deserved it.
Well, you know that we won it with 87 points, which is, you know, it's not phenomenal because we've seen us win 100 points, which is phenomenal. But 90
it speaks to the fact that it's such a competitive league that anybody can take points off of you at any point in time. Yeah, I hear that. No, I agree. That's valid. Yeah, that's fine. I think that for Madrid. I know that's not what you want to hear.
No. It's not about disparate. No. I'm sorry. I'm speaking out loud because I'm processing it.
Fine,
you know.
We're having a debate. That's what football is all about.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, you know. Okay, sure.
No.
All right.
But you have to agree. There were moments where Madrid were a bit woeful, okay? They didn't have the best days. They were a little bit lackluster. There were periods, especially in the earlier part of the season, where it was touch and go for a while, okay? But then,
you can't beat Barcelona and then lose to Real Betis a week later.
Well, there's that too. You really
can't do that.
And there's no explanation for that. There's no explanation for that.
No.
And I think even they don't have an explanation for why that happened.
Yeah, they're still racking in their head. Like, how did that happen?
Maybe they let their guard down. Maybe they got a little bit overconfident. I agree with you 100%. You can't go from winning a Clásico and then all of a sudden just completely flopping. But it was more how they did it. It wasn't just the fact that they lost. It was how they did it.
Yes. And the thing is,
but that shows you they mentally switched off.
Right, but the thing is, like winning La Liga, for example, let's say you don't have to depend on beating Sevilla twice, Atletico twice. You don't have to. Because I said this last night in the pod, is that if you beat everyone that's outside European competition, you beat the Levantes, the Getafes, the Valladolids, the Osasunas, you knock those out of the park, then you get the 90 points and you put pressure on the other teams to get results in those games. And they'll most likely drop points because they don't have as deep of a squad and they have European competition to worry about. But again, you know, publicly speaking, Madrid want to win every single game. We want to, you know, play well. Like that's the image we emulate to the world. Right. You know, it's just being practical about it and looking at the schedule. Like there are priorities and there's no question about it, you know. But it's just like people. But it kind of gets under. I'm sorry, but it gets a little under my skin that people are like you can't win La Liga. I'm like, well, we're winning other things, bigger things. Did you forget about the Champions League titles? I mean,
no, you're right. But I mean, it is also about priority, and it's also playing the long game. Okay, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The season is played out over 9 months, and the Champions League, there's what? If you make it all the way to the final, there's 10 games, I think it is. Okay, 10 games played out over 9 months. But La Liga is 38 matches over 9 months. Okay, week in, week out. It's a much more difficult competition, and you really can't let your guard down. I mean, you can't obviously in the Champions League either, but I forget where I'm going with this.
Well, okay.
All right, strategy. And it's now this season more than ever before, because it is such a compact, hectic schedule with so many competitions. They will have to sit down and make a long-term strategy and say, okay, right, points. Where can we get the point? Where can we afford to drop points? This, that, and the other, and then figure out a plan of attack, because the Champions League and La Liga are always going to be the first priority for Real Madrid. Always. And you can debate about what's first. I would say for the board, for Florentino Perez, it's probably the Champions League always going to be first. For Zidane, curiously enough, he seems quite content. At least for this past season, he wanted La Liga to be the priority. And it was. Okay, we said that publicly, that La Liga was going to be the priority. And I think probably because they had enjoyed so much success already in Europe, it was like, okay, we've done that. Let's move on and get back to this. And they did. And that's the wonderful thing about Zidane. It's like whatever he sets out to achieve, they do it. So I think it'll be interesting to see what his priority is going to be for this season. Is it going to be one? Is it going to be the other? Is it going to be both? Is it going to be more than that? Is it going to be trying to... I imagine Madrid being Madrid, they will try to go for everything, obviously. But at some point, they will have to, depending on injuries, depending on who's available, depending on who's fit, depending on all that sort of stuff. If they can keep everybody fit, healthy, and fresh, and let's say not test positive for coronavirus, for example.
Yes.
Which is another obstacle for everybody.
Yeah. The dark cloud.
Yeah. Exactly. So
I'll say that the next time I go to Spain, hopefully I can make it to Barcelona. I know exactly to invite you and your husband, and we'll talk about what's more difficult, La Liga or Champions League, because I have a bit of a different opinion on that. But we'll leave that for now. Okay. We'll leave that for next time. I hear you, though. I hear you. Yeah. But yeah, we have to see how this goes. But I think for like Zidane, for example, coming back, I mean, he won 3 straight Champions League titles, right. And the big question is, why are you coming back to the club after you've accomplished everything? I wrote an article a while back about that, and I said, the biggest thing I think what he would love to accomplish in these 4 years that he's at the club, the treble. If he brings the treble to Real Madrid, that right there will trump what he did before. That will trump what he did, because the club never got that, has not gotten it yet.
Right.
So that for sure is on his bucket list. Now, for this upcoming season, I mean, what I expect is for Madrid to advance further in Copa del Rey, because I didn't like the way they got bounced by Sociedad at home in quarterfinals, losing 3-4. That was harsh to watch. Winning La Liga, terrific, but Champions League round of 16, that was very frustrating and disappointing to lose the way that they did like that.
And not just them, but all 3 Spanish teams for me was really disappointing, because they all collapsed.
Yeah, that hurt La Liga. That hurt, because I had the argument to a lot of friends and fans about La Liga is the most competitive in the world. They say, no, Premier League. I said, excuse me, La Liga eats the Premier League's lunch in Europa League, Champions League, this entire decade. It wasn't even close. And then this type of a thing happens, and it just hurts that argument. It hurts it when the teams don't go far. So that's again, that goes to the debate of like what teams are more difficult, which are the ones that are better, and all that. Like, it's all in context, obviously.
Of course. And in football, like everything in life, it's cyclical, right? So La Liga, in a way, is also going through its own transitional period right now. The way that Premier League was going through a transitional period in the last decade or so. The way that, you know, the Bundesliga or Serie A, you know, the 90s were all about Italian football. It was all calcio. It was all about Italian football. And since then, it's, you know, it's all about the Premier League. It's all about La Liga. I mean, it's just how life is, you know. And so, but you're right. I do think La Liga is a highly competitive league. It's a league where anybody can beat anybody at any stage of the season. It's so unpredictable, which makes it really fun to watch. And for me, in some ways, that's why it has almost more merit than a European competition, even though I do love the Champions League and the Europa League. I do love European competitions as well. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this season.
I was watching, just to wrap up on this, I was watching last month was phenomenal because you had a game of Europa League, Champions League every day. Yeah. And I was over in La Quinta, where family has a second home out there, and it was 250 degrees outside. I could have cooked a steak on the driveway if I wanted to. I mean, it was that hot. So I'm indoors and I'm, you know, like watching these games, and it's, you know, it's great. You know, I wish Madrid were still competing in it, you know. You know what I mean? But when Bayern did what they did to Barcelona, I mean, what went through your mind when you watched that live?
Coming from a Madridista, you want to just rub it in Barcelona's face, right? It was painful. It was painful, mostly because, but it could have been any team. I mean, for the fact that it was a La Liga team, it was hard to watch. Obviously, you don't want to see anybody get dispatched the way that they did. I mean, Bayern are a terrifying, clinical, efficient machine, you know. And if that had happened to Madrid, if that had happened to Atletico Madrid, if that happened to any other La Liga team, I would have been equally as devastated. Because at the end of the day, you know, my league, my football is Spanish football, and I want any team that goes to European competition to be successful, you know. And so it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch, especially a team that has one of the greatest players of all time on the pitch, and he was not even involved. And for me, it was the final nail in the coffin of what's been a really horrible season for the club overall. And you could see the writing was on the wall. You could smell something was going to happen. I thought it was going to be like 4-1-5-2. Something like that. I expected it to be a thrashing. I just never expected it to be.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that. So you basically knew more than I did in that one. I thought that Bayern would beat them, but I didn't think it would be like a goal fest.
It's because Barcelona were at the very end of the season. Again, it was more about a mental state of mind. They were mentally just not there. And if you've seen the game against Osasuna, which was on the penultimate day of the season, the one where Real Madrid won La Liga, they played at home against Osasuna at the Camp Nou. It was the only game of the entire season that they lost at home. But again, it was more about how they lost. I mean, they conceded really silly, ridiculous goals. They were down to 10 men, Osasuna, and they still lost Barcelona. Yeah. Because they just weren't there. They mentally were not in a good state of mind. And when you saw that, it was like, oh boy, when they go against Bayern Munich is not Osasuna. So
well, I was rooting Osasuna on, but I mean, that's just me.
Huh?
I was rooting Osasuna on, but that's just me.
Of course you were. Everybody was rooting for Osasuna.
I don't hide it.
But again, you just never want to see any club collapse like that. You just don't. It's not fun to see. It's not nice to see happen in front of your eyes. Yeah. Be it Barcelona, beat anybody. You know, I mean, Real Madrid have had their really rough moments too, and that's just been. It's tough, you know. But again, sometimes these things need to happen because you build something bigger and better out of it afterwards. You know, sometimes you need to burn the house down and start all over again. And Barcelona are very much in that period, their phase right now. And so
I feel very optimistic about Madrid in the upcoming decade, because we have the new stadium coming in 2 years. That's going to bring 150 million euros a year outside of soccer. So that's going to help invest in the farm system and like in Castilla. It's going to help bring more international talent. It's going to really bring money to the coffers for the club to invest in the female team, the basketball team. So this upcoming decade, I really feel very, very optimistic about the club. And, you know, I heard from a lot of Madridistas about how Cristiano Ronaldo leaving 2 years ago, they're like, that's the end of it. It's over. We're coming to.
Of course.
No. You know, one season,
Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, you know?
Yeah. Short term, but long term, the club's going to be fine.
Exactly. You know,
You know.
In the long term, it was probably the right move for Cristiano Ronaldo and the club to part ways. You know, it's always going to be a year or 2 years of transition or whatever. And then we're finally getting the best Karim Benzema. He's been at the club for 10, 11 seasons.
11 years.
11 years. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And we're finally seeing the best Karim Benzema probably of his entire career.
Yes.
So, and not only that, all of the young players that are coming through Real Madrid and all of the young players they had out on loan that they haven't recalled yet, that they haven't decided whether they want to recall them or not. Madrid, look.
I expected, and I was a little disappointed that Dani Ceballos is going back to Arsenal, because he's 24 years old, and I like him. Like, he's a spider in the midfield. You know, I saw him 3 years ago in the Euro Sub-21 tournament in Italy, and he was everywhere. I mean, he was covering the field, he was intercepting passes, he was getting the offense going, he was helping out in defense. Like, he's a guy that I could see taking over, like for Toni Kroos. I'm watching Odegaard coming in. I mean, he's younger than him, but like you said, we're older in certain positions. I mean, they can't run forever, these coaches.
No.
You have to make a change at some point. It's difficult, but that's what's necessary, you know.
But think of a midfield in a few years that's going to have, most likely, Casemiro, Martin Odegaard, Fede Valverde, and Take Kubo. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, and that's just the names that we know. That's just the names that we know about.
Of course, because there's going to be also names that come and go.
Right. We didn't know about Toni Kroos coming to Madrid. Sure. You know, Luka Modric was known in England, but not globally like now. Like, so Madrid, they have a tendency to tap into getting players that come from other countries and other leagues that are not stars yet, and they become stars with Madrid. That's the thing that Madrid. What I love about the club is that they say, you know what, we're going to make you a star. You're going to come and sacrifice. You're going to help us win title. We're going to make you the star. Cristiano was already a superstar.
The whole signing on the Galacticos, I mean, they were Galacticos because they were already big names, you know? Well,
they made the adjustment, you know, because I read the Real Madrid way, and I read all about that era in the 2000s, bringing Zidane and Figo and Beckham and all that. But again, bringing them when they were older. So then Florentino Perez and the board come back in 2009. They made that correction. They brought players that were more closer to their prime, and henceforth the difference in the success.
No, it's definitely very, very different. Two very different eras with Florentino Perez. And for me, what's really interesting now is like Barcelona's philosophy of bringing players through La Masia, bringing players through the youth academy and integrating them into the first team. They've almost swapped with Real Madrid, that philosophy, where Barcelona have become this buying club of stars, of big names already, or on the verge of becoming big stars, whereas Real Madrid have actually sort of shifted their focus, and they said, actually, let's bring players through La Fábrica, or let's, you know, purchase really young up-and-coming talents, like a Takefusa Kubo, for example, and let's, you know, loan them out, or whatever, let's loan them out and get them some experience, minutes and whatever, and then we'll eventually bring them back into the club. And so for me, it's really fascinating how they've just completely like flip-flopped and switched their methods and their approach to squad and team building.
Yes.
And I mean, we didn't even mention Vinicius or Rodrigo, or I mean, there's so much talent, young talent.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That
It's a
Real
it's a
Madrid
mix.
definitely building a
Right.
very solid team for the next.
Oh yeah, and then we won the youth league. Raul Gonzalez leading the Juvenil A, the under-19 team, and that was the first time in club history. That was a big deal. I saw that game live on the internet. Don't ask me how, but I did. But you know, let me no. And I watched it, and I was thinking, wow, not all the players, but a couple of them possibly in the future could be in the first team, or they could be in La Liga. And Real Madrid, a lot of fans don't know that Real Madrid support a lot of talent in La Liga. A lot of, like Dani Parejo, for example, he's from the academy.
Of course.
I mean, you know, that's something that Madrid, not only for their own first team, but for other teams,
of course,
they produce a lot of talent, you know. And Barcelona, I think in the early part of the decade, they were selling La Masia because Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets, Pujol, like they had those players that came up, and then they won, and then they had that riding for a number of years. But now it comes back to starting over at zero at some point, and for them to be sustaining at our level of competence, it's very hard to sustain that.
Nobody can sustain, and that's why
now with the new stadium coming in. Right. Remember when Camp Nou, they made the announcement that they were going to have a new Camp Nou. I remember the presentation. It happened within the same month of Real Madrid. I mean, it's hilarious. These two clubs are literally going after each other in public relations, and so 600
everything else.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, it's great. You know, for us, it's phenomenal, right? But like,
listen, you almost make you push each other to be better. You know.
Yeah. And so they proposed a plan for like 600 million euros for the new Camp Nou, right? It looked beautiful. Mm-hmm. They haven't made any moves yet on that stadium. I think it's because they can't get a bank loan. I mean, I don't see any movement.
Well, now with the whole pandemic and everything
else,
it really hasn't helped. So.
Madrid got the bank loan a few years before this pandemic, a couple of years before, and the money is there. And so now they're going full force with the building because obviously there's no public allowed yet in La Liga.
Yeah, now is the perfect time for them to do
it. And we won La Liga into the Stefano, so now it's like, okay, we'll keep going there. Just keep playing there. You know, we don't need it, right? Whatever. So let's let the stadium thing go. So it's going to finish a year earlier.
Right.
So that's the fortune of the many horrible things of this pandemic. The one great thing for Madridistas is the stadium is ahead of schedule.
Right.
So, but Barcelona, that's the one thing that they're going to be behind when that's done. So, be very interesting to see.
That's the least of their worries right
now. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. All right, Semra. So look, we are going to head into this segment. It's recta final in Spanish and final stretch in English. So the first ever special guest to go through the final stretch. Okay? So these are rapid questions. These are rapid questions. These are a point system. So there's a clasificación, right? There's a table, all right, of the points. I dictate the points, so you know your answers will depend on that. So you ready to go?
All right. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Number 1, In and Out or Five Guys?
In and Out.
Yeah.
Come on, there's no competition. In and Out.
I love it. I love it. Number 2, Better Beach, Laguna Beach or Alicante?
Oh, Alicante.
Okay. I've never been there. I'd love to go there.
Well, then you can't ask that question. That's not fair. You have to make it comparison to places that you've been to.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it.
Or you could say Manhattan Beach or Laguna Beach and then Cape.
Oh no, I won't do that. Oh no, I won't do that. I don't pit beaches in Southern. No, I'm a Southern California guy. I mean, they all get love from me. Yeah. Number 3, what do you miss most about Los Angeles?
The beach.
You're in Barcelona. What do you mean?
I'm joking. My hometown.
Yeah, just like that.
It's been years since I've been back, so.
Well, the hometown misses you. No doubt. Number 4. I'm trying to fight off a tear here. Hold on. Number 5. You're gonna like this. Which song would you sing in the shower? My Heart Will Go On, or I Will Always Love You.
My Heart Will Go On. For sure. I've already done that like a million. I
knew one of those songs. I knew it. I knew it. Although I love The Bodyguard.
Titanic was like my favorite movie when I was 13.
Yeah, I know. Titanic
and
was.
Every other 13-year-old at that point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was Independence Day, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, Leonardo DiCaprio, he was tough. He was tough to beat at that age. Okay.
Well, he did very well for himself, didn't he?
He did fine. He did just fine.
I'm trying to make him an honorary member of our Pena. How about that? I'm trying to get him in.
Brilliant.
All right, number 6. If you could score a World Cup winning penalty kick, against which goalkeeper would it be?
Oh, I have to pick.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good question. Ter Stegen.
Ter Stegen. Nice. Very good. Number 7. Which trilogy would you watch more repeatedly? Christopher Nolan's Batman or Bad Boys?
Batman. Christopher Nolan's Batman. Definitely.
Okay, we move on. Number 8. Name the official animal for the state of California.
The bear.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Brown bear.
Number 9. Number 9. Oh, this comes from following you for years. Okay. How many different versions of your name have you seen on coffee cups?
That's a really good question. Oh, far too many. Far too many. Far too many. Even today, it wasn't on a coffee cup, but it was on in the dressing room. I've been working there for 2.5 years, and somebody still doesn't know how to spell my name.
Oh, major
they added a random H in like the most weird place, so it was Semrha. I was like, what?
Oh no. Oh my goodness. All right.
But it is a source of fun, I have to say, getting the coffee cup.
I gotta tell you, when I see those posts that you put, I'm like, you know what? That's cool. She takes it in stride. That's cool. I mean, other people I know,
really
like,
makes me laugh,
man,
though.
They take it to the nth degree. I mean, like, excuse me. Oh yeah. Well, we're more amped up over here than usual, obviously, for obvious reasons. I mean,
Oh, don't even
you know
get me
how it
started.
is.
Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah. But anyway, that's that. I wanted to throw that in there because I.
No, that was good. I like that. That was good.
Here's the last question. Ooh, this one's a good one. Number 10. If you had $10 million and you could move back to Southern California, in which neighborhood would you live and why? A lot of cities.
I think I'd go beachfront Manhattan Beach on the Strand.
Manhattan Beach, beachfront.
Well,
Surprising because
it's my hometown, and you know.
Yeah.
That's nice, lovely houses out there.
No doubt. Absolutely. Fantastic. All right. So that's it for Final Stretch. So now we're going to go to the calculator. Point total 4 million points. 4 million. Wow. You are the leader. My goodness. Wow. Everybody else is going to have to pick up the pace next time they get on.
Awesome.
Semra, thank you very, very much. This is a phenomenal charla. It was great to see you again. I'm so happy that you're doing well. You're staying safe over there, and we send big hugs. Do you have a message for our audience before we close out?
No, I mean, just to say thanks to all of you, for those of you who've been with me over the years. I really appreciate your support, and to keep following you, of course, and Charlas, because it's good fun. It's really good fun. So well done, you. It's really enjoyed it. So thanks for having me. And yeah, stay safe, everyone. Look after yourselves. Take this seriously, because it is serious, I promise you. And yeah.
And please follow Semra on social media, semrahunter.com. By the way, the website you have up and running, correct?
Yeah.
Nice. And you're on La Liga TV, so that's on beIN Sports too, right? They transmit.
It sure is. In the US, beIN Sports USA, one of the channels. I'm not sure which one, if it's beIN 2 or 3, but it's definitely there. So,
okay, great. I'm going to have to put a dish to pirate the signal from Barcelona and evade the cable company. I don't have to go through all that. You know? Fantastic. So, Semra, we hope in time when this pandemic is over, you can come back to Southern California. We'll definitely have an event in your honor again, and hope to have you again on the Executive Madridismo channel.